Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over two new palettes from Tom Ford, and they are both in the wet dry formula. According to Sephora, these are limited edition. I'm going to give you guys some swatches and then a look using each, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that the title and the thumbnail is not clickbait. I have some feelings about these quads, okay? So anywho, let me get into each one. This one right here is called Metallic Dream. This is the one that I'm wearing on my eyes right now. It's beautiful. I mean, looking at this, it's straight up my alley. Cool tones. I love the blue. I love the black with the sparkle. It is absolutely stunning. And then we have Rose Prism, or Prisme, if you want to get fancy with it. This one right here, much lighter. I love the color scheme of this. It is absolutely beautiful. I love this lavender and this peachy tone right here. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the swatches. I'll get into the demo and then I'm going to give you guys my thoughts because, yeah, I have some. Each of the quads retail for $88. And starting off with the metallic denim, the shades are number 1, champagne, 2, mid-tone brown, 3, Parisian blue, 4, medium dark black. And I feel like we should add in that there are definitely some sparkles in that shade. For Rose Prism, the first shade is champagne with brown undertones, 2, light peach, 3, lavender shade, and 4, copper with brown undertones. I'm going to start off using the Rose Prism palette, and then we will get into the look that I'm wearing right now. I'm going to start off this look with the deepest and the last shade in the palette on a Zoeva 227. I'm going to place this on the outer corner, and my eyes are not set, like the primer is not set. I'm going to start bringing it upward. At first, when I saw this shade, I was like, okay, this is a pretty shade, but it kind of stops here. I am just going to go ahead and tell you I am very disappointed in this palette. Even if, you know, it looks pretty on camera or something, it's just, it is not the same as most of the, or all of the other wet dry formulas. It's just not the same. And I think you'll see why I say that as I go along. Anywho, I am taking this upward into the transition area, going into the crease, blending upward. It does blend out very nicely, and again, you can use this wet or dry. I'm going to use it wet later on. On a REPHR number 28, I'm going in with the second shade. I grabbed quite a bit of this on my brush, and I'm applying it all over the lid, slightly up into the crease. And I think this is a pretty shade, but I mean, unless you're fair or light skin tone or even light medium like myself, well, right now I would consider myself to be a medium. It's just very, very light, which is fine. It's just, yeah, I'll get into it. These kind of start to mix together. So I'm going to have to go back in with the Zoeva brush and intensify that outer corner again. Just kind of blending the edge together. And this is a soft, it is a soft, pretty look, but our problem is the price point and the textures not being consistent with the price point and the other palettes in the collection. With my finger, I'm going to take the very first shade. This is some kind of topper. It's very different than those that you find in the regular shadow, like the matte ones and the satin shadows. This just feels a little different. It doesn't have as much sparkle. It's, I don't know. It's a little lackluster. I'm going to build it up. And again, I'm using my finger. the best way that I know how to use this shade. And typically I can put these on with a brush. This one, no, it just kind of goes everywhere. Dusting away fallout. Grabbing the light lavender shade on a REPHR 21. Going to highlight my brow arch and then pop that on the inner corner. And I do have to kind of layer this up. I'm going in with it wet on the inner corner so you can see it a bit better. REPHR number 3, back in with the original shade, this time wet. I'm applying this all along the lower lash line, and I will admit that I do like this better wet, but on the eyes, I was playing with it and it made my eyes look a little crepey whenever I used all of the shades wet, which is not typical. It's at least not for me when I use the wet dry formula from Tom Ford on my eyes, but this one there's just something different. I am also going to apply this to the top lash line. Afterwards, I mean this is the look. I'm going to go add on inner rim liner and mascara. That will complete the look. And it's not that I don't like the way the look turned out. I just don't think you need to spend nearly $100 in order to achieve it. For the look I'm wearing today, I'm going in with metallic denim. On a Zoeva 227, I'm going to grab the second shade in the palette. Once again, my eyes are not set, so this has something to really adhere to. And I'm going to start on the outer corner and bring it into the crease. I found myself having to layer this a little bit more than what I wanted. I do think it's a really pretty shade, but I have to build up on it. Adding in another layer. Going all the way to the inner corner. I'm going to start lightly buffing upward. This will be my transition shade. I just want to have a little bit of this peeking through on the edges. I'm not sure if you guys can see this on camera, but it's just really not the texture that I expect from the wet dry formula. It's just like a little bit thinner and a little drier. So once again, going in, adding just a little bit more. Now that I have that laid down, I'm going in with the Nakia Joy EO6 Precision Blend and the blue shade number 3. I am going to deepen up the crease with this. Just going back and forth in windshield wiper motions initially, and then I will lightly start blending upward. Again, I am going to have to build this up a little bit. Zoeva 234 in this beautiful black sparkle. I'm applying this wet because if I don't apply this wet, it just does not look the same. And one thing I do want to mention is that even though I'm applying this wet, on this eye, right around here, I kept losing some of the pigment. I went back in and had to add it several times just as I was doing, other parts of my makeup. So I'm not sure why. So I'm taking this and I'm kind of pushing it up into the crease. I don't want to blend too much because I don't want it to go away, lose some of the sparkle or lose some of the blue because it's a little thinner. Adding a little bit more on my brush, making sure I get to the lash line. And again, just kind of pushing upward. I just wanted to add that I think you can see here how much sparkle is being applied to my eye right now versus what is left on the opposite eye. Going back in with the second shade, I'm using a Bristles Beauty E05 PS. This time I'm using it wet. Lastly, a REPHR number 21 and the very first shade. Again, I'm using this wet, otherwise you just don't see it as much. After I get this laid down, I'm going to go ahead and add inner rim liner and mascara. Alright, just like the first look, this look I finished off with just top inner rim liner and mascara. I decided to go with a nude lip with this one. With the other one, you actually saw the finished look. Oh my gosh, what video did I do? It was the tag video, the perfect tag. I used a really bright, fun pink color, and I really liked how they went together. But this one, in Dramatic Eye, I was like, I'm gonna stick with my basic nude. Now for the palettes, oh my gosh, like I'm getting frustrated. I think that's the thing, is that I absolutely love Tom Ford, and they seem to be just going on this decline, and it really makes me sad. I'm going to start off with the palette that I least like. I don't even know that I can really say that I like this palette. I definitely don't suggest it. $88 might as well be $100, and I know that I like some basic palettes that are $100, but for me, the textures warrant that, but that's just for me. Again, each their own. This one, it's not the same. There is something that is so different about this wet dry formula. I tried this one out first, and I immediately, using this first shade, I felt like it was more like a topper. Those topper shades that you find mixed in with either satin shades or with mattes. These are the wet dry formula. So when I touched this, I felt the grittiness of it, and I was like, that's definitely a topper, but like not in a good way. It is dry. These are dry. I have to really pack these on, and then on top of that, I tried to use them wet on my lid, and it was a little crepey. I'm 35 years old. I don't have the youngest eyes in the world, but I definitely don't feel like my eyes are a big concern for me. And when I tried to put that on my eyes wet to intensify it, it just got crepey. Both of these. This one, not so much. This one I did not try all over the lid. It's very, very light. And for me right now, it kind of washes me out. But it is a beautiful shade. It is this lavender, amazing, just gorgeous. It's kind of like a highlight shade that just has that little hint of lavender. But if you're darker than me, I think maybe 2 or 3 shades you'll be fine, but after that, I wouldn't even suggest this palette. I wouldn't suggest this palette at all. There's something so different about it. I don't like this topper. It was gone. I tried to initially use it with a brush, which I usually do with all toppers from all formulas. Charlotte Tilbury, Tom Ford, Wayne Goss. I love, Patrick Ta. I use a brush. Sometimes I can use a finger, but I like to be able to use a brush. And when I was using a brush with this, it was absolutely everywhere, and it had a lot of kick up in the pan. I was like, what is going on? I mean, I guess that's better sometimes than hard pan, but this is just using my finger. About 6 hours in, it was almost like gone. It was no longer there. So you'd need some type of glitter glue or something. I love the color scheme of this, but I don't recommend it. I think the best performing shade in the palette is this one. This one is the most unique. These kind of pair together and can be nice for just a subtle look. But let me just show you something else. I immediately thought of this whenever I was looking at this palette. Does anybody remember this? And this is another thing. They have been doing a lot of repeats, adding maybe a shade in or two that's different, but doing a lot of repeats. Even putting Nude Dip in a black packaging. Then they put Body Heat in, I think, the pink packaging, and it's just like, quit. I don't like the gimmickiness. This palette is absolutely gorgeous. And the very first shade in here, it has sparkle to it, but it doesn't feel like a topper. I'm going to show you a video of this beside the other palette, Rose Prism. This is Soleil d'Hiver. I know I'm messing that up. But the tones in here are so much better. I truly had to build up the swatches of this palette, whereas I swiped once and I was like, all right, let me go ahead just one more time for a little bit more of an even playing ground. Even my daughter was like, oh, those feel so much better. For me to be swatching on my daughter and for her to actually say, yeah, the first set feels really dry and these feel creamy. Like, I know. But this, if you already have this, do not even bother. Don't bother. And you can get that purple shade in some Viseart palettes. You might even have it in, there was another palette that Tom Ford did that had a really light purple. It was beautiful. But yeah, no, absolutely not. This palette worked a lot better, like a lot better. However, I still had issues with it and I still wouldn't recommend it. Again, these do not feel like the traditional wet dry formula. If you are very acquainted with the wet dry formula, like I would consider myself to be, it's my favorite from Tom Ford. I love them so much. These are not going to feel as creamy. You'll definitely immediately notice it with the Rose Prism, but this one, it's not as dry, but it's still dry. And I had to go in and touch up my eye again with this black shade. I was like, what? I don't understand. And I was using it wet. Like, okay. It's just makeup, Mel. It's just makeup. I cannot say that this palette is really worth it. This right here is again dry, but I thought, you know what, instead of using it as a topper, I'm going to use it as a brow bone highlight, inner corner highlight, use it wet, and then call it a day. Because again, this has like this thinner, drier texture. The original wet dry formula feels creamier, feels a little bit thicker, but not in a bad way. Even if they said, oh, I have not changed the formula at all, I wouldn't believe them. I would be like, yes, you did. You did something. Fix it. Put it back. Now, this one is not an exact dupe of the one that, again, I thought of, but I just wanted to show you the difference in texture. You are getting like that beautiful sparkly shade. I like the colors in this one better anyway. This one is Double Indemnity, and I just want to show you the textures side by side. You just can't compare them. This shade is very comparable to the one that is in Metallic Denim. However, I don't have to touch this one up. I don't understand. Like, it keeps wanting to come off the crease here on the inner corner, I guess where I'm getting that movement. And like I said, if you go in with that shade and you're using a like fluffy brush to put it into your crease, I don't have an issue with Double Indemnity, but I do with the new Denim Metallic. I just don't know what is going on with Tom Ford. I just don't know. So I want to show you just a few things that I would say, hey, if you love this sparkle, you don't have Double Indemnity, and maybe you just want that little sparkly shade, I don't like this palette as far as, I don't think it's worth it. However, it is half price right now. I think it's $27. This is the Urban Decay Prince palette, the black one. I don't remember the names of them. But this shade go back. This shade right here is, if you use it wet, just like this. So let me quickly show you. Do you see that sparkle? Let me see if I can put these side by side. All right, here they are. This is the one from Urban Decay. I don't know if you'll be able to catch the sparkle as much, but I did do a video and I used this on my lid, so you can see it in action if you would like. And then this is Metallic Denim. This one's darker and you can see the sparkle a little bit more on my hand, but I just don't think it's worth it just for the one shade. And then lastly, just really quickly, I have a few palettes that if you want something similar to this, you don't want the Tom Ford price tag, Visearts. And this right here is Visearts Solstice. It has a beautiful peachy shade in here, something slightly bronzy. And then I love this one. This is a duochrome and it's kind of like purple and blue. Not the same. I'm not telling you that they're the same, but it can give you some more options to look at. And then this one, oh, my hair clip stuck to it. This is Apricotine. Again, not the same. The biggest thing is that this is lighter and then the purple. But at the same time, it's very, very, very light. So not everybody's going to be able to use it. I'm not going to say I got a horrible look out of it. I will tell you that I had to work for both eyes. I just don't think it's worth the $100, 88, whatever. I'm really disappointed. I felt like already the shadows that were mattes had gone downhill. Some of the satins, all the palettes that I have been getting, I just haven't been loving unless they were the wet dry formula. So I've skipped some palettes and then I saw these and I was like, yes, I'm gonna get the wet dry formula and it's gonna be great. And sadly, I was disappointed. So I'm not really sure which direction Tom Ford is going in. I'm trying to think. Their foundation was really great, the shade Illuminate, but you know, you could get something cheaper with the Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue. They're not exactly the same, but similar enough. I just, yeah, I don't know what's going on with the brand. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the new blushes are going to be nice, but if they're not, I am kind of concerned about where this brand is headed. Something that I would have done a whole full face and been like, yes, and now I'm just, I don't know. I'm losing my love for them. I truly am, and I hate that because it just feels like a makeup best friend, you know? I know that's so silly. But anywho, I hope you guys appreciate my honest opinions on these. If you have them and you love them, let me know. If you've tried them and you agree or disagree, just let me know. I like to hear, you know, what everybody else's experiences are. And let me know if you enjoyed this video by giving a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.